All right, let's call the meeting to order. 6:35. 5:35. I know, getting old, baby, getting old. That's right. All right, we got today fire department grant. Who's over here talking?
It's Denise. You're trying to help her not fall.
We got grants and fire today. We're gonna take fire first.
Oh.
You want to do grants first?
They're pretty simple.
All right.
Chair.
We're gonna do, it's been a change, we're gonna do grants first.
All right.
What page, Ken?
Page 40.
Hi, everybody in grants. How you doing?
All right, I'm Councilman Ernie Newton, co-chair of the budget. Go around and introduce yourself, council people.
Richard co-chair of budget, 135th.
Anita Martinez, 139. Kayla Medina, 138.
Someone acting as chair.
Prayer 136, budget.
Maria, come
Oh, I'm
on.
sorry, Maria Prayer 138, non-district office restriction forbidden from speaking. Next.
Fred Hodges,
You're the
136
person
committee
that might be able
member.
to speak.
Fred Hodges, 136 committee member.
Mrs. Gilmore, 131.
Ken Plato, Finance Director, OPM.
Selena Estes, Director of Central Grants. Mike Gordo, Grants Writer. Angelico Jada, OPM Analyst for Central Grants. Candace Peter King, Grant Writer.
Asia Burks, Administrative Assistant, for grants.
Nicole Nelson, 138th District.
Dash is about 137 District, non-member.
Fire Chief Lance Edwards.
Deputy Fire Chief Mark Cody.
We're all right, let's first, before we do anything, we need the exhibit. Central Grants Office presentation.
All right, I'll make a motion to exhibit
Second.
0429-2026-A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, okay. You have the floor.
So through the chair, just the
Oh,
short
I'm
process.
sorry.
That's all right. So Central Grants budget is very simple, pages 40 through 44. No changes at all. I'll turn it over to
Thank you.
Zelina.
Good evening, everyone. We promised to keep this brief presentation short and sweet. A general overview of what the department does. The grants department works across city departments to identify funding opportunities.
Can you guys, I'm sorry, excuse me, can you guys acknowledge our council president? She is on Teams.
Okay, council president has joined us.
She's been on there, you
She's
gotta
here.
start paying attention to
That's
Teams. Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, to identify funding opportunities, develop and submit grant applications, and ensure compliance throughout the grant's life cycle. As reflected in our proposed budget, the department, as Ken mentioned, is not seeking any additional funding this year for FY27. Given that the majority of our budget is allocated to personnel, tonight's presentation will focus on staff productivity, operational performance, and measurable outcomes. These results demonstrate not only the efficiency of our team, but also the importance of sustaining current funding levels to continue delivering these services effectively. While the methods that the city utilizes are not limited to the following pathways, the primary approaches are what we consider grant to project and project to grant. Grant to project is when the Central Grants Office identifies a funding opportunity and engages a department to identify or develop eligible projects. Project to grant is when a department identifies a project or a funding opportunity and partners with the grants department to seek funding for that project. In FY27, our interdepartmental partnerships enabled us to secure approximately $30 million in funding to support critical city projects and programs. This despite a broader pause and ongoing uncertainty in federal grant opportunities. Delays in funding holds continue to present challenges, and we'll talk about that further in our presentation. Even so, in FY '26, our 6-month status shows that we have already secured approximately $27 million as of December 25, reflecting continued momentum and strong performance under constrained situations. Transitioning to the next slide, the following slides will provide a brief overview of how the department evaluates grant funding opportunities and determines eligibility and ensures compliance across the city's active grant portfolio. This work is essential to maintaining funding integrity and maximizing external resources.
So I would like everyone to just turn their attention to the eligibility assessment slide. You'll see a pie graph and a bar graph. So while there is no shortage in grant funding announcements available, not every opportunity is right or a good fit for the municipality. So the assumption that more funding opportunities means more chances to apply, honestly, in reality, eligibility requirements significantly narrow that field. Factors like population size, geographic classification, match funding requirements, and even internal capacity for a program is critical in this role of determining whether we can realistically pursue a grant. So to put this into perspective, we looked at opportunities from the Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance. There were 36 funding announcements available, but as we look at eligibility requirements, that number begins to decrease. If you look at the bar graph, you'll see that the total available, so that first bar, has those 36 funding announcements. After we look at eligibility, we are a city, that goes down. So if you can hover over, it should.
So this one right here.
Oh, yeah, so as we go down, just being as a city, that already brings us below the 20 mark. Then we look at match requirements. Are there 50-50 match requirement? What's the percentage? What does the applicant have to provide? Then that brings us down more. Then when we look at the capacity, does the department have the capacity to do this project and ensure that they're able to give those deliverables? That also may bring down that capacity. So from 36 funding announcements, the city is eligible to apply for 8. So, for example, even though the city is about 8, let's say we have 1. So BJA gives out a Rural Law Enforcement Violent Crime Reduction Initiative. Bridgeport doesn't qualify because we're not rural.
So now that reduces the pool to 7.
So that reduces the pool 7. We can look at the BJA Matthew Shepard's and Jim Burt Hate Crimes Program. In the city and in CT, the prosecution for hate crimes is handled majorly at the state level. So Bridgeport wouldn't be the main applicant, but we would be in partnership with the state.
We are
Continuing to reduce that pool.
We've enjoyed my councilwoman, how do you do this?
And then another example I would like to, is BJ also has the Upholding the Rule of Law Enforcement and Preventing Wrongful Convictions program. Bridgeport doesn't have its own Conviction Integrity Unit, or CIU, so we would not have the capacity to apply for the application, which again brings that number lower. So it's important to just see that although there are a majority of grant funding announcements available, and this is just looking at DOJ's BJA agency. And just looking at that, seeing that it went from 36 to now possible of 6 applications that the city can put in. The funding is out there, but we also need to look at all these eligibility requirements, which may lead us to not being able to apply to all 36.
So I just wanted to expand on that a little bit because one of our partners here, the fire department, made a very good point before the meeting, and I thought I can use them as an example, and to feel free to chime in, on the match requirement end. So the question to me was, are you asking for $2 million in your budget for matching funds so that when we apply for grants, we have matching funds available? And I said, no, I am not. That conversation has been brought up in the past, however, it has not been received positively. And so it's expected that the departments have funds available for matching funds. However, as an example, one of the grants that will be coming available, hopefully when DHS makes funding available again, they have not had funding opportunities open since the current federal administration has been in place. but have notified us that they will be soon opening it up later in the coming months. So the fire department, as they normally do, began to prepare their request for what they were going to ask for one of those grants, which is port security that we normally apply for annually. And in that request, it was to purchase a new fire boat. So I said, okay, a couple of things we have to figure out before we start considering that as an application, and one of those things was the cost match requirement, which is a 75-25 split. So the city would have to pay 25% of the total project cost. The purchasing of the boat would be $2 million, leaving the city responsible for paying $500,000. They don't have that. So I just wanted to make a point about that and put it out there that identifying cost matching funds has been an issue with applying for some funding, because not all funding, most funding is not 100%, there is match requirements. Do you want to add anything to that from the audience?
I think that's perfectly, or very well said. We are looking to replace, as the chief and I, main financial responsibility with the department is to seek alternative funding. We know the burden that the taxpayer in the cities is under. So if we could find outside funding, additional funding, that's what we're shooting for every time we're out there. This port security grant, we used it before. We've used it on on other marine division stuff. The fire department has one in-water boat. The police department has, I think, 3. We have 1 in water. We have 3 out of the water. We could trailer them and move them wherever. They could also work in the sound. This one boat is approximately 12 to 14 years old, which is a long time for a vessel that sits in the water, mostly 24/7, 365. It does come out for routine maintenance that could pull it out for a few weeks here and there. But as the director said, the matching fund. So we're looking at a fireboat, and as you know, everything costs the world these days. The fireboat we're looking at is pretty comparable. I think it's slightly bigger than what we have now. Around $2 million. The match fund, like she says, around $500,000. So historically speaking, the agency requesting the grant has to find that in their operating budget. There is no line in the fire department operating budget besides overtime that has $500,000 in it. And we are very bare boned. There's not a lot of meat and fat in any of our budget anymore. So we're doing anything we do a match on, we're losing it on some other side. We're not able to buy the equipment we need or whatever. But like I said, to that end, this $500,000, I don't know if there's a way to have a special a line in their budget, something out of OPM that says, hey, when you're going for these bigger things, we're saving $1.5 million, by investing the $500,000. So that's something I think needs to be considered for future purchases or whatever, because if we are unable to get this grant or continue to apply for it over time, and the fireboat does fail, how are we going to answer to the public? We don't have this piece of equipment that has successfully rescued, successfully extinguished fires out in the water, and it would no longer be available to serve the public. It's hard to take a step back. We've already had it, and that's just something to consider. We understand, there's not a lot of money laying around, and that's just something to think about. I mean, this is the first year we're applying for a boat. Historically speaking, when we look at large ticket items through grants, we don't normally get it year 1. So when after a few years, they go, you know what, Bridgeport, they put in for this. It's clearly there's a big need for it. The population they serve, demands it. I think they'll get it this time. So maybe, something to think about as we work down, through fiscal year.
If I could just add one more thing. So usually when we apply for grants, port security is a 25% match. Usually when we're applying for equipment, it's only a 10% match. But if it's $1 million item, that's $100,000 that we have to find, that we've already allocated that $100,000 for something else. But we need this new piece of equipment, so that's why it would be extremely helpful for us to at least consider another path for revenue for this line item. And with this particular boat, it's staffed 24/7. So there's no overtime required. We're not calling in special operators, marine operators, to staff this boat. They're stationed 24/7.
So through the chair, just as an aside, I don't want to belabor this because it's not something being proposed today. This is the central grants budget. There's a process. If the department had a priority, they wish to come and say, hey, we got an item that's a capital plan item, not an operating budget item, they could do that. But they have a lot of other priorities. They put their priorities into the capital plan. They didn't raise the issue of, hey, we might want to consider a boat down the road. So it's not in the capital plan. It's ludicrous to talk about operating funds for grants. Most departments use matching funds for current existing operations to apply for a SAFER grant. For example, when the firefighters seek firefighters for a SAFER grant or the police cops grant. That's what operating funds are for. And we have an ample budget with matching grants for most grants. If there's a big new grant for a capital item, then the Department of Central Grant should notify OPM and say, hey, we'd like to look into this. Next year, we're happy to look into it.
All right, thank you. Continue your presentation, and we'll open up some more.
Okay, so moving along with the presentation, as we're talking a little bit more broadly about grants, we're going to hone in on the department itself. So we'll look into just the grants that are currently in development. And so when it comes onto the grants currently in development, our team is actively working with the departments listed on the screen to pursue grant funding. And so we have OPED Health, Public Facilities, EOC, Police, Fire. And these are projects underneath here that are in progress, whether that is us actively writing the grants currently or funding opportunities that we are currently preparing for, such as the assistance for firefighters with the fire department. In total, the combined estimate value of these grants is just over $23 million. And these include the federal, several of these opportunities are federal opportunities, such as the U.S. Department of Transportation for Safe Streets for All, which is focused on improving roadway safety and reducing traffic fatalities. We're also pursuing funding from the Bureau of Justice, which supports violence prevention and public safety efforts, as well as programs through the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA. So, the firefighter, the assistance to firefighters, which would just be providing funding for critical equipment and resources to help these firefighters that are responding to emergencies. So now, at this point, I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Maggie, who will walk us through the grants that we have submitted and they're currently pending.
So this slide that you're currently looking at is showing the number of grants currently pending, meaning that the Central Grants Office has submitted them, and we're just currently waiting a decision right now. At the moment, we are waiting on 15 grants with a combined estimated value of just over $14 million. And as we monitor these applications, the timing of decisions can vary significantly depending on the funding agency. Even when agencies provide an expected timeline for decisions, delays are common. The agency soliciting these grant applications may postpone award announcements due to administrative, budgetary, or political factors, something that Iselino was alluding to earlier, referencing the administration shift in January 2025, when a lot of grants were being reprioritized by the administration. And then, so in our office, once a decision is received, we document the outcome, and if it is denied, we follow up with the agency to request feedback, though responses are not always guaranteed. If a grant is awarded, we notify the relevant department and begin the process for executing a contract between the city and the funding agency.
So now if you can just put your attention to the active grants slide. So as you can see, we currently manage 82 active grants, and each one needs consistent monitoring to make sure that we stay compliant and in good standing with our funders. So my role as the OPM analyst is to help ensure that I track and manage the work of day-to-day in our program managers. So this includes things like analyzing grant data to catch any issues early on, preparing financial reports, also submitting reimbursements requests just to make sure that the funding is coming in on time. Also supporting program reporting, so for example, helping project managers and their teams understand what data they need to submit their quarterly or monthly reports. In addition, it's also conducting monthly monitoring meetings to review spending and flag any variances. Additionally, I would assist with budget revisions when any of these programs require a shift, and coordinate updates and communication with funders, and also help manage annual closeouts and audits that come up. So a big part of the role is essentially providing technical assistance to all the program managers, whether it's answering questions about allowable costs or when their reports are due, and just helping them stay on track with all these deadlines and deliverables. And then altogether, our goal is to keep all 82 grants running smoothly, compliant, and just also aligned with our funders' expectations.
So that's, brings our presentation to conclusion. In closing, our department continues to deliver measurable results for the city, securing tens of millions in external funding while ensuring full compliance and responsible stewardship of those funds. Sustaining this level of performance requires continued investment in the team that makes it possible. We remain committed to identifying funding opportunities, supporting departments, and advancing priority projects for our community.
Thank you for your presentation. And to the committee, we haven't done our capital plan yet. So maybe the chief can get us some information before we approve our capital plan. Maybe we can add that to it and look at it because we have membership. So
I'll get that chair.
you guys do that. There's been a question that the grants department doesn't go after enough brownfield cleanup money. And I need you to explain to the council, as you did me, that the state will not give us brownfield dollars. It's starting when it's ready to go. Can you explain, because I've heard that criticism. So I wanted you to address that to the council members so we're all on the same page.
Of course. So the Brownfields program requires that we have an identified project and a partnership with the developer. So we just can't have a project, we need to have a developer in hand as well. So we hadn't been able to apply to the Brownfields grant program for some years because we had no developer partnerships in place. However, we recently applied to and were awarded brownfield funds for the AGI site. And we just recently applied for brownfield funds for the cleanup of the Bassett site. So we're waiting, we're just submitted that. We are actively working with DCD to answer some questions that they had about our partnership. So yes, we have more recently been able to do that because the city had developed relationships with partners to develop the sites. They don't award brownfield cleanup funding to sites just to clean up a site without a development project.
Thank you. I'd like to also acknowledge Councilman Michelle Lyons, who has also joined us this evening. All right, who's next?
You might have a committee member first.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Just
Okay,
go ahead.
so I'm looking at page 4, and I know that you guys use these acronyms all the time, but I have no idea what the acronyms in this pie
I
chart mean.
apologize, it's so matter of fact to us that,
Yeah,
I can certainly clarify for you.
Can you tell us, like, what's OVW stand for?
Office of Violence Against Women.
Office Violence Against Women. Okay, and then BJA?
Bureau of Justice Assistance Program. Some of these I'm not going to be so familiar with because they don't apply to us. But we can Google them for you.
Okay, BJS?
That one I'm not sure. Bureau of Justice Statistics. There you go. That one.
And
So
like I said, you guys use it all the time, but for like us, we're like, we have no idea.
most of these we would not be eligible for. The ones that we tend to apply to because of eligibility factors are BJA, OJJDP, which is Office of Justice Juvenile Detention Program.
Okay, what other one?
It would be those two, mostly those two, OJJDP and BJA. The other ones are like very, for statistics and for like either universities to apply to, states to apply to, things of that nature.
Okay, and then, my second question is, when you look at, by the way, you were doing so great with page numbers that you got 6 and 7
And
and
we
they
messed it up.
disappeared. And everybody knows I hate when we have these and they don't have a page number, but anyway, when I look at page 7, excuse me, I'm just looking for, in the total budget year, which went from, would be 2024, July 1st, 2024, to June 30th, 2025, your last complete year. How much did you actually receive in funding for your grant applications?
How much were we awarded at that
Yes,
time?
yeah, that's the last full year.
30,247,675.
In that 1 year?
Yes.
Okay, and let me check, I have another thing, but if you want me to wait, I can.
You can wait.
Okay, I'll wait, because it's for the budget book.
Yeah,
Okay.
I need that.
Okay, I have a question on the BIA. You stated that we don't qualify because we're not rude.
Rural.
Oh,
Rural community.
Oh, okay, so.
Or urban community.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of the eligibility factors that a lot of the federal and state programs use to provide funding. Some funding you can only get if you're a city of less than 20,000 people. There's all these different eligibility factors.
And then under health, under grants and development, the wildlife guards program?
Yeah, that's just a small grant that we apply to annually through the Department of Youth Services to provide, it's basically part-time work to guards that they use during summertime. Not lifeguards, this is more wildlife, so they're.
Yeah, it's they employ 8 high school students to do like a lot of conservation on different birds and a lot of habitat conservation stuff.
So it's an opportunity to fund work during the summer to kids in their employment program.
Fred Hodges.
Thank you, Chair. I usually doing a good job, got a couple grants in the area that I do represent, 136, with the bench is gonna come in, I appreciate that. But my question is to Selena there, in the future, do you plan on sending one of your grantees on NLC? Because when we're at NLC, there's a lot of things that's offered there that we do meet the population, with the population that we have, that sometime with them being there and knowing the ins and outs, they can see with grants that they might want to go. So my question is, do you ever think about sending one of them with us when we go out there?
So I went to LNC a couple of years ago, and while I understand that the information to people who aren't familiar with hearing it all the time seems like it's things that we might not be aware of, but they're essentially providing information that we are actively looking at. So my thing has always been to the council people, if you hear of something that you think, I mean, when I went, I had people coming to me, did you go to this kiosk and hear about and I said, yeah, they give you $30,000 and then you have to come up with 300,000. Do you have 300,000 in the pipe to get $30,000 from this funding source? So yeah, we're willing to go. It's just that we look at these things on a regular basis. Anita, as she typically does, requested information from us when there was an announcement about EPA funding. And she was like, hey, can we get money from this? And we were able to provide her a whole breakdown of the funding that was available, what we were eligible for, and the reasons why we couldn't apply. So we're doing that on a regular basis.
Yeah,
If you're asking us to attend the NLC,
yeah, because I think it'd be a good experience for them, and I'm quite sure every council person here don't see it all and get it all. So they can say they do, but some people miss some things, and they might catch some things that other people don't see. You know, that's all the reason why I'm saying, because it will help the city.
For sure.
You know, and that's the goal for all of us, is helping the city with grants to help you, to help the city be better prepared and get more grants. That's all. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, he got money in the statement.
I know, but I'm gonna come up with a bill.
All right, hey, come on, let's keep it on ground.
Tasha.
Hi, I'm over here in the corner. My question is more or less in regards to the application, the grants that you applied for and were denied. Is there a general, like, concept of why you ever denied these grants?
Yeah, so we typically when we get denied, if the funder provides what we call it, in the grants world, it's called a debriefing. It's a debriefing on how your application was reviewed. So last year, I was adamant, I'm not sure if you were at our budget meeting last year, about a video that I was able to show everyone about the San Diego mayor explaining about how you typically, and he even mentioned something else about it earlier, you typically don't apply for a grant and get it the first time that you apply. You apply, you get a debriefing, you get feedback on how you can make your application stronger, and then you reapply the following year. So very much in the same way that we did with the Congress Street Bridge. We applied, we got a debriefing about how we can make our application stronger. We did that twice before the third time we were able to get an award. So that's how we usually manage that situation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You gonna read that, Beverly?
The matching fund, I noticed that on some of the application, they say that, on some of the application that you turn in, it say that some of them matching fund on it and some is not. You know, the city of Bridgeport have to pay some matching fund. So I heard you say that the matching fund, that you all are doing some kind of funding for matching fund, and that's why you're not acting for matching fund on some of those grants that you do?
So what we were describing was that at the time of application, when we go to partner with the departments in the city, one of the eligibility factors is, do you have the match requirement? So unfortunately, we don't prepare for that enough in advance. And most of the time, that's because we don't know what type of funding is gonna become available. While we do have certain grant programs that are the same every year, it really depends on the priorities of the department and how that's worked out.
Okay, and I guess, let me see, I think the number of grants that's pending is 82.
No, that's our active amount. That's how many active grants we're managing currently. So those are awarded active grants that are funding projects. So those are already been awarded.
Oh, they already
Yeah.
been awarded? Oh, okay, I thought that, let me see this page.
Yeah, our
over here.
funding amount
They had a
was,
whole bunch. Let me
I
see.
think it was 15,
Wait a
yeah.
minute, it was, let's see, I wrote myself another piece. There was another number up there, same,
Go to the
there's
active
another
one.
amount.
Yeah. So
Right
that
there,
82
that's
is
it,
the
that's
active,
it.
yeah.
Okay, I thought that those were the active grant, and the other one was the one that, the 15 was the one that you put in but hadn't gotten yet.
We're waiting notification on,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, okay, that's what I was talking. Okay, that's good, and I think that it's a good thing that when we are denied a grant, that you all follow up to see, you know, why you were denied or whatever. So when you put it in there again, you'll know what to put in there and what not to put in there, right?
Yeah. And we just recently, the fire department had a grant that they were denied in the last round of funding. And it's taken us months to communicate with the contact at FEMA just to get a response to ask us what grant we're talking about. So it's a lot of effort put forward just to get information, but we actively are trying to obtain it.
And I would like to say that I'm glad to see you, Asalina.
Nice to see you
Been a
too.
while.
I know. Nice to see you too.
We've also been, we see here Councilman King Boyd has joined us also.
Mr. Hodges?
Yes, I see the Connecticut Department of Public Health approach gun violence, $1 million grant awarded. Who are the players in that?
So that would be, let me see if I can think of them offhand. GBAP, Career Resources, Catalyst, LifeBridge, and I'm missing one. Oh, and us, the city, in the city.
You said GBAP, say that again for me, please?
GBAP,
Uh-huh.
Career Resources,
Uh-huh.
Lightbridge, Catalyst, and the city of Bridgeport. We have
Okay,
five.
thank you.
All in favor?
And, the checks and balances on, we do that, you do that, and are they doing, committed to what they're doing? Cause I see a lot of this stuff here.
So we're not the managing department. The managing department is the mayor's office, so Andy Toledo has the oversight of
All right,
that.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, Ernie.
I mean, lose my train of thought. No, oh, okay, I got it. Ken, is there any way, because I think some of the problem is this matching fund thing. Is there any way the city, when they apply for grants, could do something so that when they apply for those grants and they need matching funds, at least we got them? So is there a
most of the
mechanism
time-
that we can do to let them know we got a pot of money here, that when you need to apply for grants, depending on what it is, we can accomplish that by your going on.
So I can give you a positive answer. 90% of the time, I can't tell you the dozens of times I've been involved in helping departments find money
Okay,
when they need it for a grant or for a match. Chiefs and I just had 2 projects in the last 6 months we worked on, and one we're working on new that we're trying to get the money for equipment. So most of the time, it works out. Isolina is great, her department tries to chair quarterly meetings, doesn't happen all the time, with all the key departments to try to track how we're doing on some of these things. So honestly, most of the time, if there's something priority that it's a good match, we'll figure out a way. And this example with this boat, I mean, I can, right off the top, guess for a way to do it by putting it in 28, because by the time it comes, it's gonna be a year out, and we can amend the plan. But usually they gotta let us know, you know, and Isolina is usually pretty
okay,
good about
so
that.
you heard from what Ken said, because I don't want you to feel I can't apply for this grant, and we don't have $100,000 or $1 million. When you come across that, get in touch with Ken. You heard it from his mouth.
And they usually do, honestly.
We'll figure it out, because you know Ken don't give us the right numbers anyway. We got stuff hidden, so don't worry about it, you already know that.
All right,
I just have one question, because, I know easily that you don't track this, but, is there a way that you can give us a list, of the PD revenue grants? Because we know we have the clicker ticket, and, to see where we are on the reimbursements on that? And, because, you know, we've lost funds on that grant sometimes, and it's gone back, so, you know which one I'm talking about, right? The CEPA, those.
So I hate to speak on it outside of the presence of the police department.
It's okay because it's in you drive that grant, so that they're coming tomorrow, so that's why we got.
However, I will say that there was, during multiple transitions at the police department, staff transitions, there was some issues with the traffic grants. However, with the help of OPM, the CAO's office, and the police department, I believe that those issues have been fixed. We have come up with a new process involving the payroll department that we expect to have come up with a resolution. So we are actively monitoring the revenues between Kathleen Brigitte in the OPM office and Angelica in my office with the payroll people on a weekly basis to ensure that the information is being tracked properly so that when reimbursement time comes, we are in a place to get that done in the time frame that the funder expects.
Oh, thank you. So follow up to Ken on that is, we've asked multiple times that be booked as a revenue line item, even though it's a revolving grant, and I can't find it in the monthly financial.
Well, it doesn't get booked in the general fund. So every grant is assigned a project number, and so there's a separate budget for every grant that we receive. So the revenue gets booked against the project number, which is a special revenue account, not a general
So
fund account.
so it still needs to,
We can get you the
because
grant,
it still
but the
needs to
grant,
be
It's like the
So
Board
we
of
know
Ed, the
what
grants
we-
are kind of in the special
That-
revenue
Through the chair.
part.
That is
Sorry, through the chair.
revenue, so we need to know.
Right.
Well, we don't.
Listed on the PD,
Yeah.
on the PD side, it should be listed there, even if it's on the bottom, that it's a revenue special coded as a project, that, 'cause it's to a grant. So
I
we
mean,
can know
through the
what.
chair, traditionally, the grants don't get in the budget book because they're not operating monies. It's dependent on the grant, so all those grant funds, you know, are on a separate listing that Munis has. But if there's any in particular that you need, or, you know, you want a listing,
So that-
Ms. Alina, of all the you know, we can do a whole, you know, report like we do in the capital fund.
Are you
But
talking,
there are
speaking
a lot
about
of-
in specific fiscal years, current years?
Well, the last fiscal year and year to date,
Yeah.
Okay.
because it would be a performance indicator on if it's driving overtime or if it's not driving overtime, and if we're getting the reimbursables corrected though.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Not for you, but for us.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds
We can give you, I'll have Angelica put it together, because we track that all on our spreadsheet, so we'll be able to tell
I
you
could
for
bring it
last two
tomorrow
fiscal
night.
years.
if
Oh,
you
great.
Get it to me tomorrow.
good. Okay, that's good.
That's it, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Dasha.
Hi, over here in the corner. Out of curiosity, with the new administration in DC, how many grants have been produced that's available to us?
So I wouldn't know that right off the top of my head. They've just reprioritized in some areas. So a lot of it was more like of a pause or a delay. And so they really, I mean, essentially what it turned out to be is they paused things so that they can change some of the assurances in the grants, right? So a lot of them have to do, at the time, had to do with the immigration things. So they had put in the grants that we had to comply with ICE, all this other stuff. So a lot of the stuff was held off, or they were restructuring the way that they were giving us the money and what we had to comply with. But then there was a lawsuit. So at the end of the day, the lawsuit was won, and all of those ICE participation factors were eliminated. And so they send us contracts now, which just caused further delays, because they had already sent us things that had the ICE requirements in them. And then we had to re-sign amendments that removed those based on the Duffy versus, I forgot what it was called, lawsuit. So things like energy grants, things that are climate, they did away with. So that funding now is not available because they don't believe in climate change. So it was mostly things that had to do with that and the immigration factors that were really playing into what the holdup is with the Department of Homeland Security, which is the funding agency that FEMA falls under. Not really sure, but they haven't released applications since 2024. But we did recently receive a notification that they're going to be made available in the next few months. What is changed about it still is left to be determined. I'm not too sure what it is.
Okay. In this order, Michelle, Maria, and Anita. Oh, you want to do that again? Okay. Yeah, Maria. Hi, Mary.
All right, go ahead, Reverend Lee.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to say to Asalina, the young ladies that, and the men that come to represent the grant department in your state, I guess, or whatever, I would like to say that they are cool.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
You know, all of my children. They do a great job.
They do, they really do.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the feedback.
Okay, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And I second that.
I just have a quick question, because I don't know if it was over here. In your revenue from last year to this year, how, do you find there is, you know, like on the whole of everything in your department, a big increase? You know, with all the, the birth certificates and the marriage, and all the licenses and stuff like that? In the grants area, was anything coming in there through the grants in that area there?
In the area, I'm sorry.
In the grants area, has there been an income, like a, an increase?
So if you look at our service indicators from FY '24 to FY '25, there was a decrease based on all of the grants being held up on the federal level. So we had a really good year in FY '24, and then we kind of sloped a little in '25. But it still stood in line with all the previous years. So we maintain a steady revenue amount.
Okay, that's all,
If that
that
answers
answers
your
your question.
question.
And I was
Yeah.
wondering if your grants had increased and whatever. And, you know, versus from last year. Because, you know, when you come in for public safety, there's a lot of grants that come in. And so I didn't know if there was an increase on the grants, and has the money, you know, increased for us to give more services out versus, you know, decrease in services. Because sometimes when you come to the public safety for the grant, sometimes you'll say, okay, well, we can't get this grant at this specific time, or we have to wait to see if we get this money coming in or whatever. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So if that, again, all aligns with the priorities of the departments and the funding that's available at the time. But we have been maintaining a steady, you know, award.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm on page 40 of the budget book. So you just said that ending June 30th of the FY '25 year, you generated $30,247,675 in grants. And in that same year, it cost us $506,000 for all of you. So you are really delivering and covering your entire cost and payroll and giving us tons and tons of money. And I'm concerned because we have 2 grant writers for the largest city in the state, and you're paying for yourselves well above that, okay? So if you are by far, I mean, because you generated 30 million and you cost us $500,000. So I know that that's gonna be incredibly difficult for the largest city in Connecticut to only have 2 full-time grant writers. So I would ask you to consider that, because they're paying for themselves. They're not costing us anything, they're paying for themselves. And I'm also concerned that you properly introduced yourself as the Director of Central Grants when you came in. Why did this budget book say manager at the top? And why, are you the project manager here? I don't understand, why is she in the project manager category? And why isn't she the Director of Central Grants? Because she does the work of a director. Can I get an answer to that?
I mean, I can explain the budget, but so
Well,
it's,
can I hear from you, Selena?
Sure.
I
And
would
then you-
defer that question to the CAO's office on.
That's what we should refer to.
Yes.
Okay, because those are the ones that created positions. When that happened, I know what the reason is. Ken knows what the reason is, and I think Ken could probably speak on it better. So give us a little explanation, Ken, not long.
I was just gonna try to say, sometimes managers do have titles they're kind of used or allowed to use that are somewhat different than the personnel title that they're paid through. I don't know the personnel history of that title, but I always call this limited, division director personally. And I know she's, so, but I don't know the history of the personnel
That's something that
aspects.
we'll deal with the CAO, because those are the ones that.
I know when you're a director, the pay is different.
Right.
I know that much.
All right.
Because I'm a director in
And
my
can we-
program,
can
my
you-
pay is different.
Can you
You want the
please
second
consider, no, I'm not, can you please consider adding another grant writer? Because they're paying for themselves. They're not, they're paying, they're 100%.
We'll consider that.
Okay?
We'll consider
Thank you.
Okay.
Selena, could you use another grant, right?
All right, excuse me.
Come
Through the chair.
on, through the chair, y'all. Go ahead,
I
Ken.
apologize.
So I was just gonna mention, for quite a while, frankly, the office was shorthanded, and so I'm really pleased they're fully staffed now, which has made a big difference. It's hard for me to judge the need for more staff, but
I have to
I
say-
am very glad that they're fully staffed.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I have to say that the staff is working their fingers to the bone. They are extremely overworked. It's to the point that these 2 ladies barely speak to me. So, that being said,
All right.
Okay,
All set?
Reverend.
All women.
If there's a way, in the CEO office, there's a way that we can find out about, I think as Selena said, that the CEO office, somebody has something to do with this right here?
We're going
That's
to,
the way we
we're gonna check that out why.
Okay.
She's supposed to be the director, why it's got to be something else, and we'll look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Because she should be on equal grounds like everybody else.
Thank you.
Ernie, can I just make one more comment, please? I also want to acknowledge, it appears the entire office is filled with women. So I'm sorry, but why is that, why are we doing that to the women?
Okay, that's not a budget item.
Okay, well,
Budget item, so we can't
we
actually.
can only
Okay,
be.
Lorette.
Thanks, I have a quick question. Sure. About, where it says, the pending, grant applications and active grants. So it lists all the, departments on that. So where's this other, like, does it stay always that way, or like, what falls?
So we have some, so to us, our other departments don't really have a home under a major department. And that's typically, things that fall under the CEO's office or the mayor's office. So town clerk, registrar of voters, Myra, those departments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, the Anita, then Ernie, we're gonna pull about Ernie. Anita.
Okay, so I have a few questions, Iselina. Can you explain to me why your office, as the grant writing department, as the money revenue department, because your staff is writing the grants for yourself, the money's coming into your department, why is your department not managing the grant money that is coming through your department regarding the expenditure of it? Is it being used properly? Because in a perfect world, when you go get a mortgage and you do your application to the mortgage department, the mortgage company is, the bank is gonna manage that mortgage. So why isn't the grants office managing the money that is coming in through the city? I don't understand why the mayor's office is managing the money that you all are bringing into the city, that you guys should be managing from your office. Are you able to explain that question?
So we would probably need 10 more staff in our office to do that to that degree. The project, so that's project management. So first of all, let me just clarify, we write grants in partnership with departments. So it's a partnership, we do it together, heavily with the experts in the field that we're applying to. We do have controls in place with regards to how the money is allocated and spent, right? So when we first get grants awarded, we hold what we refer to as an implementation meeting with the department. And the grant, there's so much that we do than just writing grants, right? And so once we get a contract in place and the contract is signed, we take out all of the benchmarks, deliverables, reporting requirements, all that. We write it into an implementation, what we refer to as Bible, right? So it's a summary that dictates what is required, what money can be spent on, when reports are expected from the funder. We set up on our end in what we have a module in our financial system called the Grant Master. So we put in the budgets into there and OPM then funds them. So the budget line item dictates what is approved in the budget from the funder. So the expectation is that the departments in managing the project would be aligning their expenditures with that actual budget. When reimbursement time comes, we ask for the money back because most of the grants that the city has are based on reimbursement. So the city puts the money up and then we get the money back. That goes through Angelica. So she reviews what is being submitted for reimbursement and ensuring that those expenditures align with the budget. So we do have a place in that. It's just that we aren't the project managing department. So, and for instance, when Councilman Hodges asked the question about the gun violence prevention, the mayor's department, so Andy Toledo, is the project manager for that particular grant. He's the one working with all of the subcontractors to make sure that they're in alignment with what's in the contract. If we did that on a regular basis for 80-something to 100 grants at a time, there's just not
You covered some of the questions because you did state that you did reports.
Yes.
So that's verification that the.
So the reports required from the funder state what happened within any given time period. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Just a quickie through the chairs. So I think there was a bit of confusion too. There may be one grant like that that somebody in the mayor's office manages, but 99% of the grants are managed by the department managers, you know, at least for their grants, public facilities for their grants. So it's not, you know, but we also in OPM, I don't want to use the names, but Ms. Prickett spends half her time managing all the payments, managing is the wrong word, reviewing all the requests for payments before the purchase orders are issued to make sure that they're in the right line, the right sync, the right purpose for the grants. So, you know, Central Grants does their part, but OPM office also does theirs. So it's a pretty good control place. That's not to say if a manager messes up on something or doesn't do something, that's possible, but they do have a lot of checks and balances.
all right, close out with Ernie.
Selena, if we could, are you in need of, would you like to have another grant writer to figure out a way to do it since you're bringing revenue in?
I would definitely take
That
another
would support having grants writers. Because I agree with you. The more grants writers we have, the more things we can go after. So we could look at it. So next one, let's go on the rest. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Next time, bring food.
All right.
Thank you for paying for yourself.
All right, next
Fire
up,
department.
next up is the fire department. They didn't put in for no money. They didn't ask for nothing. They didn't. So we're in good shape.
Sorry, Mark.
I'll give you one.
What we did bring up is that the grant cycle and the budget cycle never match up. Never matches up.
Some little discrimination going on, I need to hire some men in here. Discriminating against men?
Break, but you go to the bathroom.
Some of us are a certain age.
But the meeting ain't gonna be over. You ain't gonna be in there for an hour, are you? No. All right, then.
You can pass these around.
Chief, you got an exhibit, Chief.
I'm sorry?
You need an exhibit before you start talking.
Not to take anything away from you.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'd like to call us back to order, King.
Thank you through the chair.
We need to exhibit this item first.
All right, it's 0429, 2026 -B. It's the Bridgeport Fire Department FY 2027 budget presentation.
These motions on the floor. Can we get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Ken, take off.
Thanks to the chair. Just a couple of quick things on the overview of the budget, and thanks to the chiefs for all their hard work. They're amazing. So a couple things. There is one error in the budget book that more OPM we messed up on a position. So we were adding one lieutenant. The department requested a couple of priorities. One of them was to consider having one more lieutenant, and we did add that to the budget request. But in the process of the position things, somehow we put in a second lieutenant and took out a firefighter. There was an error. So in your last iteration, when I bring it in 2 weeks, obviously the firefighter will be back in that, the second lieutenant. If it wasn't needed, will be out. So there is, the firefighters are the same level as this year, but the department requested, and we've so far approved one additional lieutenant in their staffing. As far as equipment and revenue, there are a few things. They started a new program, which they're very optimistic about, that is very helpful because it's going to generate some more fees to the department that I'll let the chiefs explain. So there's a $60,000 increase in one of the revenue lines for fees. That's a new initiative on their part. as far as some of the non-personnel, I did try to afford them some of the things that they felt they needed, not all of what they requested, but some of the non-personnel items. So hopefully you're halfway happy with the budget as presented to you. And with that, I think that was a few quick things I just wanted to mention. We'll turn it over to the fire department for their presentation.
All right, Chief.
First of all, thank you everyone for allowing us to present fiscal year 27's budget. And we're just waiting to get the budget up on the screen and we'll get started. Oh, Councilwoman Pereira, unfortunately, there are no numbers.
Oh, that drives me so crazy. You know why? Because if you want your colleagues.
No, I know, I know.
That's how it's expected. So you'll be back next year with them with numbers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, guys.
Chair, before you begin, I have something to hand up that belongs to fire. That we haven't gotten, but I got a copy of it for the meeting. It's the manning sheet that we used to get in budget. I asked Eric for it. Hold on a second, Chief, don't start.
Yeah, no problem. We'll wait.
Here. There's the manpower breakdown with anticipated retirements, everything.
Thank you.
You can hand these out. I'm coming, I'm coming in. Inspecting the ankle. All day long.
It's the manpower report that we used to get quarterly. I think you forgot about that too.
Bumpy Johnson.
That's what somebody told me today.
All right, we got a zip disk
26 cards.
0429-2026-C, and this is the manning,
The fire manpower report,
fire manpower.
the quarterly.
The quarterly.
It's from January to March.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, Chief, you can take off.
Okay, we'll just, we good? Okay. We started with the organizational chart. There are no changes here from last year. The one thing that we are doing right now, if you look at the asterisk next to any one of the positions, those are currently positions that are either being filled with someone who is an actor or there is a vacancy. And as we get into the presentation, we'll go into detail regarding testing with civil service and filling vacancies. Staffing. So I think everyone understands we're budgeted for 297. Luckily, you guys approved 2 fire inspectors, and we do thank you a couple of years ago. So we went from 295 to 297. But if you compare us, which is the largest city in the state of Connecticut, to the other urban cities, which is New Haven and Hartford, we have 297. New Haven has 365. Hartford has 364. Population is higher. Our runs, thanks to Councilwoman Martinez, we average about 21,000 calls, and that's basically because we run at an EMR level, and we're gonna go into detail. But once we're able to get the department up to staff in terms of certified EMTs, and we transition from the EMR level to the EMT level, you're gonna see our runs increase. We'll probably be up right around 30,000 calls. So we're looking at a major, major increase in call volume. Underneath that, the vacancies, obviously fire chief, I've been an acting fire chief for the last 5 years. We also have a vacancy in the deputy chief executive officer. That position right now is being filled with a part-timer, a assistant chief who retired a little over a year ago. So I don't want you to think there's no one in the office, there's someone there working 19.5 hours twice a week.
Can I just interrupt 1 second?
Absolutely.
We have Yolanda, Councilwoman, and Councilman Murray, online.
Put the beer down.
Not yet, let him finish his. Is it pertaining to?
The attendance, so, Councilman Murray has been on since the beginning.
Okay. Continue, Chief.
Okay. The deputy fire marshal position right now is vacant. We're going to be running a test. We're working closely with civil service, as the same as the senior fire inspector. We just completed an exam, and it's going through its 30-day appeal, so we should be able to fill that vacancy very shortly. And we have currently, if I need to hire firefighters, I could hire 10. And just to let everybody know, we have a 62 minimum requirement for every shift. So if I hired at 10, we're all 4 shifts are currently at 62 or above. So I don't want you to think that we're running overtime with every shift. Every shift is at a minimum of 62. But in order to go to 66, because we have a maximum level as well, I could hire 10 as well as fill the vacancies for the positions above that. This year, this August, hopefully August 10th, will be our 5th recruit class. We're very, very thrilled about that, very happy. Last year was the first class we were able to introduce other municipalities. We had firefighters, we had a total of 13 recruits from Norwalk and Fairfield. Director Flato mentioned this year we're actually going to start charging. So it's going to be a revenue generator, and the goal, just to let everybody know, right now, we started off with just Bridgeport. Now we've got Norwalk, Fairfield, I know we're going to have Danbury, and a couple of other municipalities this year, but the goal is to turn this into a regional fire academy. So we're going to continue to generate revenue for the city of Bridgeport.
That's good.
Staff will continue. In terms of existing promotional list, we have 1 deputy chief's list, so if one was to, if I need to hire, we do have an actual list to hire from. Pump engineer, as well as the senior fire inspector, which we just completed with the civil service. And just to let everybody know, the other positions, there are no vacancies. So we don't have a vacancy at the assistant chief rank, the captain's rank, and the lieutenant's rank. They're all filled. Yep. Director Flato mentioned that we did ask for additional staff. This is vitally important for this upcoming recruit class. So the last 4 recruit classes that we've had, normally we have our special services division, which is basically a training division, is run by 1 assistant chief and 3 captains. We have a captain of training, a captain of communication, and a captain of EMS. And in order for us to run this recruit academy effectively, we usually hire officers that are in the department that are stationed at a firehouse that have a special skill set. Because not everyone is suited to run a recruit academy and teach all the curriculums. So what we do is we handpick individuals that have specific skill sets for, say, ladders, hoses, water supply, SCBA, etc. So when we detail someone from the line, we're forced to backfill that vacancy at time and a half. If it's 1 person that we detail, we're looking at a total of $57,000. So we're spending that money to run the academy anyway. So why not provide us with an officer who is going to be able to not only work in that division, work with the recruits and the members of the department, but also take advantage of the training that we have that's OSHA mandated, and training that myself and Deputy Chief mandate that every member of the department goes through. As I said, everybody has a special skill set, so when these trainings come about, we usually, again, have to hire someone to come in, detail on straight days, which comes up with backfilling that overtime. So now, we would have the ability to have someone that's in the training division, special services, that's there every day, specifically for the recruit academy, and also to take care of our annual training. Because any way you look at it, we're spending that money, but why not just give us the staff so that we can be dedicated and to actually enhance the goal of having the regional fire academy which is ultimately our goal, instead of just a Bridgeport Fire Recruiting Academy. Staff to continue, I get asked this all the time about the diversity makeup of the department. The largest city in the state of Connecticut, a very, very diverse department, as you can see. 27% African American, 40% Caucasian, 30% Hispanic, 1% Asian, and the other 1% is 2 of them. Vacancies. So usually people leave right after April when they get their vacation time. And obviously everyone knows the fiscal year starts July 1st of every year. So when we have vacancies, and luckily this year we have a very small amount of vacancies. And I think a lot of that has to do with the drop plan that the state has offered to certain people that meet the criteria. Because like I said, right now we only have 10 firefighter vacancies. Usually at this time I have 22, 28. So we're actually at a very, very low number. But when we have vacancies from the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1st, we cannot fill those vacancies until December. We run our recruit academy, we try to shoot for the second week of August. That ends like around the second, third week in December. So that overtime, you gotta remember, the summer is filled with hot weather, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, and it goes into Thanksgiving. And a lot of people like to take vacations. So you'll see an uptick in the overtime from July 1st to December. And I have a slide that goes into a little bit more detail. So we average about $180,000 a week from July 1st to December 18th in overtime. The following week, December 24th, and this is till last week, it goes down to $160,000. When you say, well, it's only $20,000. Well, $20,000 over 52 weeks, because our goal is to keep it. We'd love to see about $100,000.
I want it lower.
Yeah.
I try every week and I fight to get it down.
But if we average $160,000 a week, that's $1 million or less. And if we're spending, say, $9 million, $1 million is a lot of money saved. So I'll go ultimately, if we can average 160, that would be great. And as the Chief Cody mentioned, if we can get around 130, 140, that would be phenomenal.
Can we just go back and focus on that bottom one? I just wanted to point out on the second slide on the bottom, on July 1st of 2026, of 2025, Civil Service conducted background checks to fill 28 vacancies that were existing in the fire department. Upon completion of the process, they serviced with 28 candidates. They reported to the academy. Out of that 28, 8 quit or washed out of the program.
What?
Civil Service had not vetted a full amount of people. If we have a dropout or a resignation in the first week or two, they're not too far along, we can backfill and bring in other candidates who are next on the list if they were through the full vetting process, through the full medical. So we never had a reset since July of 2025 in our overtime. We've never ran to the full 66 members on every shift. So that would require, if someone's off on vacation, sick or whatever, we're filling that with overtime. So we never ran to our full capacity. So we've been playing catch up.
Yes.
Like the chief said, presently in this year, we only have 10 vacancies. And we don't anticipate too many retirements between now and July 1st. With that, we could catch up and bring us those numbers we want to be at.
And just to let everybody know, this year, we should not have that issue. So right now, Civil Service is conducting background checks on the recruits that we hire in August, and they're running background checks on 34 to fill just a handful. So just in case, we know we're going to have some resignations. Because this career path is not for everyone. We should have a couple of people in the docket ready to step forth and fill those vacancies this year. So that what happened in the past should not happen this year. The next slide is total emergency responses. So as I mentioned before, City of Bridgeport, we respond to about 21,000. We expect that to go up to about 30,000 once we get the department certified to the EMT level. And just to get everybody an idea of the scope of practice, right now there's 9 skill sets that we're allowed to do at the EMR level. Once we all become EMTs, it'll go from 9 to 21. Like we cannot administer glucose. We have a high amount of diabetics in the city of Bridgeport. We cannot administer glucose. So that's why it's important, and that's why it was so important to get Councilwoman Martinez involved. She's really the one that was instrumental in the pilot program. So the only reason we've been going down this road is because of all the effort that Councilwoman Martinez put in. But we're doing everything within our power to go from skill set of 9 to 21, and everyone in this room and all the residents of the city of Bridgeport are going to benefit. Now, the dark side is our call volume is going to go from 21,000 to probably 30,000. That also means more wear and tear on gear, apparatus. You'll see like the time frame to get new apparatus. We can't get it in a year, 2 years. You're looking at 42, 45 months now. We'll go into detail, but things have changed. The Fire Marshal's Division. So currently we're doing about 300 inspections a month. And I have to applaud Fire Marshal Card. He's done a phenomenal job since he's been in there. He's communicated well, not just within our silo, but outside as well. I've gotten a lot of compliments from other department heads, council people that are in this room, applauding his effort. So he's been phenomenal since he's gotten here. And so we also know there's a lot of construction going on here in the city of Bridgeport. Anytime you see construction, there's inspections that have to go on, CO permits that they have to apply for. So the Fire Marshal Division, which is located up here, they're extremely busy, and that's why it was important to get the 2 additional inspectors a couple of years ago, because we were trying to forecast to stay ahead. And even with what we have, we can't do it. There's not a fire marshal's office in the state of Connecticut that can keep up, with the construction that's going on and the mandated annual inspections. Plan reviews. If you can remember, we had a backlog a couple of years ago, because I used to get phone calls all the time. And it started with Robert Marrero, and he was able to fix that. He got other people that were certified and comfortable doing the plan review. Currently, we have 4 people in the office conducting these plan reviews, so there's no backlog as we speak right now, and the plan is to get a couple of more people involved with the plan review. But like I said, this is all from Rob Marrero and Fire Marshal Carr's efforts. The Safety Fire Code Advocacy. So myself and Fire Marshal Carr have been working with there's a group, an advocate group of fire marshals and fire chiefs throughout the state of Connecticut. Every residential building, 3-family or more, is required to be inspected annually, once a year. When you look at the total number of inspections that we should do, we would need 100 inspectors in order for us to meet that mandate. So we're trying to get them to relax the language and come up with some sort of tiered system. So if a fire marshal or a fire inspector went out and conducted an inspection and there were some violations, that person would fall into the category requiring an annual inspection. But if they go to a building that everything is up to code, it's clean, it's fairly new, they would require, say, once every 3 years, and that would certainly make that mandate much more manageable with the staff that I have, and not just Bridgeport, but Hartford, New Haven, all the larger cities. They're all on board with trying to change this language. But the goal is to get them to come up with some leniency, and there's going to be a pilot program coming up. The specifics I don't have yet, but it's coming out soon. Fire Marshal continued with fiscal year 26. We had a total of 19 burn victims here in the city of Bridgeport. And just to let everybody know, originally, I think most people know, we had a fatal on Halleck Street not too long ago, and there were a total of 2 over the course of fiscal year 26. But those 2 fatalities occurred not because of combustion remnants of the fire. They were dead before the fire department got there. So that's why I changed it, because originally I had 2. I changed it from 2 to 0 because the fire did not kill the individuals. They were dead when we arrived. So, lucky, that's a good year, with no fatalities here in the city. Our Special Services Division, they've been instrumental in getting us some PFAS here. I think everyone in the room knows PFAS is a carcinogen. All of your cooking devices, they all have them at home. And unfortunately, all of our fire gear has it too. And that's what makes the fire gear water repellent, is because they have PFAS in it. And our goal right now is, we're certainly leading that charge, is to be the first urban department in the city, in the state of Connecticut, to go PFAS free. Because it's certainly going to reduce medical benefits down the road. We're hiring at a rapid rate, and these guys, if they stay in that type of gear for 20, 30 years, you're going to be dealing with some mounting medical bills down the road. So we're trying to reduce our overall cost to the city of Bridgeport. Happy to say we had a bailout system training, and this was all due to a grant, working very closely with Iselina. I have to say, Iselina and her staff, they do a phenomenal job, extremely hard workers. But that grant was only available because of the hard work that Iselina and some of our members put in. We actually write the grant, so I can't speak for the other departments, but we actually write the narrative. We submit it to Central Grants, and they tweak it because there's only a certain amount of characters. I believe it's 4,000 characters that are only allowed, so they tweak it, but the narrative that's sent to FEMA is from the fire department, not from Central Grants. So they manage it, but we actually have people that are so dedicated in what they believe in, they actually write the narrative for the grant. So that bailout system will allow all of our members now, God forbid if they're caught in a flashover on the second, third floor, to bail out the system and bail out the window without just jumping out and landing on the ground. So they'll be able to attach the rope to the windowsill and wait until some of our other members on the ladder company will be able to remove them down to safety. Our recruit academy, again, will certainly become a revenue generator, and the goal is to turn this into one of the better regional fire academies in the state of Connecticut. Every year, we host an officer academy. As we promote officers, we don't just send them off to the wolves and say, here you are, you're in charge of Engine 1. We have them come in for a week, and we have a whole host of different officers that go through everything from putting someone up on sick and how to deal with minor discipline issues, coaching, counseling, and making sure that all safety measures are covered and they understand like the importance of the chain of command, opposed to just going up to the chief. You have an officer that's directly above you, utilize the chain of command. So anytime we promote, we usually have an officer academy, so we set them up for success. We've also hosted 2 cancer screenings recently. We have my chief's aide had a bout of cancer, so this is one of his babies. So he goes out of his way. It didn't cost us a dime. So he finds any type of free screenings, and a good percentage of our members, not just our members, but retirees, went through these screenings. So, and not too many departments actually take advantage of it. So I'm happy to say, when it comes to really protecting our membership, Bridgeport is really a front runner when it comes to that. And obviously, we're constantly updating a lot of SOPs, Firebird 233, radio communications, and our elevator rescues. Grant, this year I applied for Project Year 52. I asked for $50,000 for our Circle-On program and $231,000 for our hydraulics. And we're going to get to our capital request as well. I did ask for, I believe it was $250,000, $250,000 for the e-hydraulics and capital, because if there's a revenue stream other than capital, I take advantage of it. And if we're lucky enough to get the CDBG funding, we'll remove that capital request for e-hydraulics. We applied for a gear washer for PFAS. So we just can't put our gear in regular washing machines. It's got to be regular. It's got to be a washing machine that's designed to deal with PFAS gear, because the material is totally different, the stitching and everything. So we asked for $1.2 million. That's also a 10% match. And same with SCBA compressor and spare bottles. And this is all through FEMA, which we have not heard anything yet.
Can't you writing this stuff down, man? Imagine grant monies.
On to capital. For fiscal year 27, we're requesting engine 10 replacement, $1.2 million. This will be 17 years old next year. And again, delivery time, 42 to 45 months. That's unbelievable. So almost 4 years to take delivery of a truck. Where years ago it was a year, 14 months, 16 months. Right now we're looking at 42 to 45 months. It's incredible. So it makes it difficult for us to forecast, extremely difficult.
And just so you're aware, Engine 10 serves out of the Boston Ave Firehouse.
Capital budget continued, fiscal year 28, we're asking for $1.9 million to replace all of the SCBA in the department. Just to give you an idea how inflation has attacked this, last year we asked for $1.2 million. That's how much these SCBA's have gone up. So we had to go from 1.2 to 1.9 because of inflation. The prices are unbelievable. And I believe this is one of the items where they go up like every 3 or 4 months. So it's not an annual increase. They increase these every 3 or 4 months.
Thank Trump for that.
Fiscal year 28-29, we're still looking for $16 million to replace the oldest station in the city, which is Station 12. I'm sorry? Okay.
Go ahead.
Fiscal year 29, we're looking for, as I mentioned, $250,000 to replace the e-hydraulics. And just to let everybody know, the e-hydraulics is a HERS tool. So anytime we respond to a motor vehicle accident involving entrapment, you've probably heard the Jaws of Life. So the Jaws of Life, the old ones were tethered. They were hooked up to a cord wheel, and you can only walk but so far away from the apparatus. These battery-operated HERS tools allow you to walk as far as away as you want. So if it's down an embankment, you don't have to worry about it. Yes.
And they do operate in water now. You
Yes.
can get to a certain depth of water and they'll still operate. We are Bridgeport, so we have the possibility of our vehicles or some type of rescue operation in a waterway or a body of water. So we do have that capability.
And continuing with capital fiscal year 2030, we're asking for $146,000 for a fire station SCBA compressor. These compressors are what actually fills the SCBA tanks up with air. It's just that we need a compressor to fill it up. And as well as fiscal year 2030, $1.7 million for the station alerting system. And I don't want to get bleak, but I'm not sure how many people are aware of the fatality that took place in Norwich. So Norwich, they had a station alerting system that failed. And I believe 2 people, a child and a mom, passed away. They perished because the fire department were delayed in their response because the station alerting system did not alert them. Our station alerting system, we work very closely with Norcom and Curtis with IT, but it's reached its end of life. So that's why at 2030, it is paramount that we replace this particular system. Finding parts for it, they're obsolete. So they've gone with totally different technology, and this is really, really important for us to look forward to in 2030 to replace our station alerting system. And fiscal year 2031, we're looking to replace ladder 10, which is on Boston Avenue. Again, delivery time 42 to 45 months. We're looking for $2.6 million to replace that ladder. And at this time, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Deputy Chief Cody. Deputy Chief Cody is our admin ops chief. Chief Cody's the one who oversees the budget on a daily basis. He keeps a track on all the numbers, every dime and every penny that we spend. So better suited to have someone like Chief Cody go over the particulars of these items.
Sure. Good evening. First of all, I just want to thank you all to have the opportunity to speak in front of you. This is my second year coming before the Budget Committee. As someone born and raised in the city, I do know the tremendous burden that the taxpayer is under. So I don't take the job of running the budget, I don't take the job of running the fire department, very lightly. Myself and Chief Edwards probably scrutinize this budget more than any other city department out there. We are on it every day. We are looking at the numbers every day. We're looking for trends. We're looking for increases, decreases. So we pretty much I want to call it a flat. We were a flat budget increase on the operating side for the most part because we were under 1% request. Anything under 1% is usually considered flat. So that's what we did. So we got, prior to budget season, the stakeholders internally in the fire department get together and we see where we need more funds, where we can give back funds. We're stewards of the money. So we identified a few things where, the department wanted to give back money. In membership fees, we decreased it by, to 4,000 from 5,000. Just because we realized historically, we don't need that money. Let's put it back in the kitty and you guys can put it where it needs to go. Training services, last year we had 165,000. We decreased it to 120,000. Last year, your support of this department was tremendous because we thought that with a change to the pension plan, we'd have to run 2 recruit classes. We were fortunate enough that that plan did not decimate our department to the place where we had to run to. So we only had to run 1 recruit class. So we believe this year with running the 1 recruit class and other training services required for the department, $120,000 is a doable amount. Telephone services, you know, I hate to seem like I'm like the old person. There's no more telephone stuck to the wall anymore. So this we realized we could decrease some of this. So we decreased it by $250, but it is a decrease. I know that's not going to save the world, but it's down. So we had to make some increases too. So one of the ones in automotive parts was $110,000 last year. We increased it to $130,000. This is due to our friend in Washington D.C. federal emission standards. They require an after treatment for the exhaust systems on our large apparatus now. Back in the day, those larger trucks were pretty much emissions exempt. They aren't anymore. The sensors, the mufflers, all that, tremendous cost to keep those on the road and compliant with what's required by the federal government. We don't have a choice. We have to do this. Some of the other things, communication supplies. We had $50,000 in it this present fiscal year. We need to go up to $80,000, and that's due. We want to upgrade our portable radios. We're in APX 6000s right now, which is a single band radio. We need to go up to the APX 8000 radio. The radio for a 6000 is pretty much right now $6,000 to $7,000, and APX 8000 is about $10,000 to $12,000. What occurred when we switched over to the state system for radio communications, we lost the ability to talk to our mutual aid partners. I know, fortunately, it wasn't on the fire side. Last Friday, the police department had to go over to Fairfield. They had an incident. They needed mutual aid. Sometimes there's a problem talking. Communications was a major failure in the World Trade Center that killed cops, firefighters, and civilians. So we're trying to stay ahead of this. We're already behind the curve. We've looked for alternative funding, but those radios cost a lot. And even to try to get some in there, so we needed an increase in that, and we were granted it. So another one were gasoline. So gas is up, right? We're all buying it. Well, the city, although has a locked-in rate, consumption has gone up. We were 62,000 this fiscal year. We needed to move up 10,000 to 72,000 while looking at what we spent this year. The PD boat is not on the water. It's not manned anymore. They had they had staffing shortages, right? They're always having an issue with that. So they pulled the Marine Division out. Those guys will come in for overtime to come in and get on during an emergency. But the primary emergency response on the water has been the fireboat. That one fireboat has been out there a lot more than it has been in previous years. As a result, used a lot of fuel. And buying water on the fuel is probably $2 more a gallon than buying it on land. So at the different marinas we buy it from, those are expensive. There's no set rate on that, unfortunately. So because they haven't been on the water, we've spent more time out there, and that's caused the increase, or requiring an increase. Automotive shop equipment, we were this year 4,000. We upped it to 8,000. This is due to equipment costs. And one of the equipment costs that costs a lot of money is, I don't know if you have any, your HVAC at home, the government has switched also what the cooling agent is in those. So now we're running 2 different systems in our apparatus. And I would say, listen, I grew up, I'm 50 years old, I grew up where we rolled the window down to stay cool. So to say that we have 2 different types of air conditioning on our fire trucks, you almost would say, okay, come on, suck it up, guys. You're firefighters, right? You can't take it? Nah, OSHA says we got to be able to cool the guys down. So we are governed by federal and state standards that we need to have an ability to rehab our members at the scene of fires. So we have to support that, and we have. The vehicles line budget. Historically, back probably 5 to 10 years ago, we would put a vehicles line in the capital budget. And we actually had one in our 5-year plan that we took out. I think we were looking for $450,000, and that's for the smaller vehicles. That's the staff vehicles. When we say smaller and staff vehicles, well, there's 13 members of the Fire Marshal's Division. If they don't have a car to go out and do an inspection, we're in trouble. The command staff, myself, the chief, the other deputy chief, the captains, the Special Service Division, they need vehicles. the maintenance division, apparatus maintenance, they need different specialized vehicles. So that gets expensive over time, so we used to do it in capital. When Nestor was the budget director, he asked us to put a line, to do it out of the vehicles line. Those are smaller purchases, but a smaller purchase now, even off the state bid, you get, you know, our battalion chief vehicles, those are the east and west side chief's cars that respond day in and day out to emergencies. We could buy it off the state bid list for probably about $50,000 to $60,000, but it probably needs $120,000 in upfitting with warning lights, striping to be compliant, and all the equipment that's required, radios. So it gets expensive fast. So this year we asked for $215,000, which was a flat fund. We were reduced by OPM by $40,000 to $175,000.
Everything else.
But listen, I love Ken. This year we could work in that. We'll make that work for the people. Now, don't try to do this every year, or you know we'll be going to medical calls on bikes. So that's where we are. But we can do that. It's manageable. We can live in it. We're the fire department. We adapt and overcome. Computer equipment, this year we were 6,500, we had to go up to 11,000. ITS has told us that the iPads used by the fire inspectors out in the field are coming to end of life. Because really, we don't have an option with this one, and they did fund it that way so far. So if you keep it there, we're good. Landscaping equipment, I'm shocked that we used to only use $800 a year in this. We had to up it to $2,500. We have to replace a few of the snow blowers in the firehouses. I don't know if you're aware, public facilities does not do firehouses. They don't cut our grass, they don't plow our snow. That comes our maintenance division, our apparatus maintenance division plows. Our members clear our sidewalks. And if you see 2013 is what we're replacing from, that was the year of the giant blizzard. So we ended up having to buy some then. Those snow blowers have now gotten to end of life. The city did a pretty good job having them for 13 years, moving some good snow. So we need to replace a few of them in some of the houses. So that's just, you know, the price of it snowing every once in a while. Public safety equipment, 410,000. We've been, I think, sitting in that amount for the last couple of years. We requested an increase to 510,000. Our friend Ken, who we love, reduced it to 470,000. One of the big drivers in this is not only the inflation, but we are in a bid that was awarded that our turnout gear has gone up $1,000 per set. So if we're doing 30 to 50 sets a year, right there we already ate up 30 to 50,000 extra dollars just out of that public safety equipment line. Let alone everything else is going up. A pair of gloves. Like you would throw up if we told you a pair of gloves is $150. A pair of firefighting gloves. Yeah. One pair. Who they wear, I wish it was, I wish they were made out of gold. But it'd be too heavy, our guys would get hurt trying to lift it down. But they're only as good as that first fire where they rip it or tear it. But that's what we're under. That's one of the big financial constraints we're under. Other furniture, that's kitchen tables, so we have to buy those. Those aren't even cheap anymore. And you say, a firehouse, they need like one kitchen table. Well, fire headquarters has 14 people assigned to it any given shift. I love Thanksgiving, we're pretty close in here, but try to throw 14 at a table this size, so they have 4 tables in their kitchen. So we just went up, $500 then, and it was granted to us. So I'll turn it back over to the chief.
Yeah, so in closing, at the end of the day, I think this budget is about readiness, being there on someone's worst day, with the training, staffing, and equipment to make a difference. I appreciate your consideration and your continued support.
And if I could just jump in quick, so Director Flato is here and he took a little heat on the grant thing. I want you to know that anytime we've asked Director Flato to find us the money, he has done it. He had not even heard about these grants. I had just asked a question to Iselina about the grant, and she threw it into her presentation. I didn't expect that. So I don't want you to think that we tried to catch you off guard. That was not what we were in. And I don't know if you heard me say to Iselina, she walked out, one of the things about grants, I don't want to, this is the fire department's time, they never, the grant cycle and the budget cycle never align correctly. So we're talking about it now. We probably wouldn't, even if we applied for that grant, wouldn't even be looking for funds till next fiscal year because of the way they play out with that. So I just wanted to say that, but I just wanted to, Director Flato has taken care of us, and trust me, we call him often and say, you gotta help us out, it's an emergency, you know. We're never calling them to ask for anything more than we need to provide the protection to our members and to the people in this city. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to you first.
Fredo.
Fredo?
Chief Edwards.
Yes.
This position right here, the savings. Where's in here that you need this position to save 57 instead of, there's a guy there, you just hired, he's been working there, but he's not over.
Well, that's, you gotta remember, so the 57,000 is during the recruit academy, so that starts, like this year, our goal is to start December 10th, and I believe it end like December 18th, somewhere around there. So that $50,000 would be there, and it would be under the overtime. That's where it would be. So if you're looking for it, that $57,000 is in overtime for one person. And you gotta remember, it's not just a lieutenant, we have captains that come in and work as well, that get paid at a higher rate. So that $50,000 is average for one person.
But you're saying there's a position that you want to just hire.
Correct. I want to add, right now, the Special Services Division is staffed with one assistant chief, 3 captains, and then when we run our academy, we detail a line officer to that division. What I'm asking for is a permanent lieutenant in that position to deal with the annual recruit academy as well as the other annual trainings that not just OSHA mandates that myself and Chief Cody does. So there is plenty of work for them. I don't want you to think that there's not enough. And the beauty of this, when they take a day off, we don't have to backfill. So like someone that's riding fire trucks, when that person takes a day off, we have to backfill. This new position would not create any overtime. So when they take their days off, doesn't cost me a dime.
So through the chair, we're recommending it. It's in the budget. It's in the, we added it as a proposal.
That's what Director Flato was talking about, the
That's
two,
the one new
the
lieutenant.
one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Good? Okay. Mary Lee.
When you first started, you were saying how many, firefighters we have in Hartford and
Yes.
and what, 365 and 364.
Correct.
So we have 297.
That's what I'm budgeted for. So right now, we're short. But if I maxed out, I would be at 297. Far short. I believe it comes out to about 23% less than the other departments.
So in order to catch up with them, how many do we need? Well, I can subtract though.
Well, for Hartford, I would need to hire 67.
Okay, all right, 67, okay. All right, 67, okay, I got that. Okay, the other thing that I would like to say is, at one point, you came to us and, I've been sick a few times in the fire department when the first we showed up. But then you said that there are certain things that they could not do, even if it meant saving someone's life. Because you all didn't have you just couldn't do it because you were firefighters, you know what I mean?
Right.
Did we ever get that straight, or how do we do that?
Well, with the help of Councilwoman Martinez, we have a pilot program going on right now. So our last recruit class, we were able to train 20 of the recruits to the level of EMT, where in the past they were all trained to the level of EMR. Right now, currently, we have a total of 64 members of the department that are trained to the EMT level opposed to the EMR. So our skill set right now, based on what the state allows us to do with the EMR level, allows us to provide 9 different skill sets to the public. Going from EMR to EMT, I'll go from 9 to 21. As I mentioned before, technically right now, we cannot administer glucose.
Okay, I understand the glucose, but can you administer the other part that you were just talking about? That they were being trained for the EMT?
We have to wait until we are able to respond to every call with X amount of members trained to the EMT level. So it's probably going to take a year and a half, 2 years to get everybody trained to that level. So every time there's a medical call, which right now represents over 70% of our call volume, is medical. So if we're going to go and switch that flip the switch from EMR to EMT, we have to make sure that we have at least 80% of the membership trained to the EMT level. We have to.
And then I'm gonna go ask you to again, okay? I was at the firehouse, I'm a grandmother, and I was flirting with it, you know, and, the firefighter loved me.
We do too, yeah.
And the thing about it is that I witnessed them, a fire call came in, you know, and for the first time in my life, I witnessed what you all did for the fire, and it was so exciting. It wasn't exciting about it was a fire someplace, but it was exciting about how you all moved. Yeah, you know, it would be something, and especially it would be hard for our kids to do that. But to see how you all moved, because we have a story in the book about firefighters, you know, that it was just fascinating to me.
Yeah, they move like there's some purpose and sense of urgency. You got to remember, if a fire comes in, someone is having their worst day. So we're not walking to the fire truck. We are running as if that home, because we have no idea who's in that home. So just let everybody know. I don't want anyone to think that we're responding. We respond the same to any call anywhere in the city of Bridgeport because we have no idea who's in that home. We have plenty of members that are from Bridgeport, and just because it's not your address doesn't mean a friend or family member isn't in that home. Yes.
And that's the ire of my existence. That's operational tempo is what I refer to as the operations chief. Operational tempo. I'm on my shift chiefs to be on their people that I want to see an increase every day in operational tempo. Seconds matter, and it's our job to get there in those seconds. So we're on them all the time. Operational tempo is key to Chief Edwards and I's existence.
Okay. Anita.
Okay, I'm gonna start off with a statement. I wanna know how much do you charge to train other departments to keep the quota as it is, no increase in the budget, and as detailed as you have it?
Well, this is our first time charging municipalities, and we're going to be charging them $4,500 a year. The state fire academy charges right around $10,000.
No, I was being a wise.
Oh,
child.
I'm sorry.
I'm referring to other departments, but let me get to my question.
Okay.
Ken, why would you decrease public safety equipment when it is needed to present to fires? Almost $20,000. I think that is critical for us to have for these firefighters because we depend on them to save our lives, just like we depend on the police to come and solve a crime. And if the fire department does not have the adequate equipment that is needed, how can they fulfill their due diligence without the equipment that they need?
I'm sorry, what page are you on?
I'm going off of what was given on the presentation.
Yeah, it's on page,
Where they were decreased, they asked for 510 and they were decreased by 20,000 to 470. That's very critical to me.
So through the chair, thank you.
Go ahead.
So actually, I increased their budget. They asked for a $100,000 increase. That's 25%. As you know, every department would like more things. That's a large increase. And I understand what they said. So I increased it 3/4, almost 2/3 of what they asked. I'm also working with them on trying to secure some more equipment through CDBG requests. My hope is between the CDBG, if it comes through, and this, they'll have hopefully even more than what this line would normally give. But it is a large budget increase that we're recommending. It's just not as large as they asked. But again, I'm trying to make the difference and help them through CDBG to get more money for equipment.
I don't like to hear there's a large increase, especially with departments that are safe to come part into our lives. I want to hear that.
I don't know.
Let's cut positions that are not needed. And in closing, I would like to state that it was not my sole full work. Let's also thank Captain Petway Moore for her job as well as yourself Chief Edwards, because we were all at the table together.
It's cool.
It was just not Anita. I mean, we did it as a group. And successfully, we're going to be able to move forward with this, taking them from the EMS to the certified EMT. And for those that don't know, the fire department always responds first before the ambulance, before the police, so they are our critical compartment here in the city of Bridgeport. And we need to continue to fulfill the means and the needs according to how they need them, because if they don't have what they need, then they can't save us before anyone else comes to save us. Thank you.
All right. Denise?
Yeah, I want to make two comments. First of all, I want to say thank you, Anita, for making the statements that you just made. And I also want to thank the fire chief, and I also want to thank the deputy. You know, you guys have done great presentations to us throughout the years. And you guys have been on top of everything in regards to what a city should look like when they have a great fire department.
Thank you.
And that's what I consider you guys to be, a great fire department. And I also want to state, like I have stated so many times before throughout the years, they not only just come out for the fires, they not only just come out when people have an emergency, and we see them before we see the ambulance. They not only just do that, they come out and they speak to our children. They come out and they speak to the Lighthouse. They speak to Connecticut Works. They do all of this stuff. They have been at Crescent Crossing 581 Waterview trying to inspire these youth, trying to do different things. So I just want to continue to give you kudos with the great work that you do here in the city of Bridgeport.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank you all, and I also want to thank Nita and the crew that sat down at the table with you guys to formulate a new something in order for this city to continue to be great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Nicole?
I have a question regarding the Station 12 replacement.
Sure.
What is that, at 16 million?
Yes.
When you say replace, are you trying to move from one station to a different?
Rebuild that.
Rebuild.
Rebuild
So
one of
restore.
Bridgeport. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's 109 years old. That building was not designed to house women. And it's just, yeah, we've certainly outgrown that building. And public facilities is constantly going out and needlessly investing money in a building that at some point we really just need to just pull the plug and
Okay. Okay, Maria.
Okay, I'm ready another round, so can you put me on the list on that? Okay, I'm on page 210. So I'm actually have the reverse question of Councilwoman Martinez, because I noticed that the original ask by the fire department was $31,812,859. That's on the page of 210. I'm shocked to see that you gave them $662,000 more than they requested, which I rarely have ever seen. So through you, I'm just trying to understand. That's so rare. Why did you give them $662,000 more than they requested?
Well, through the chair, part of it is uncontrollable, you know, the health insurance, the costs, so that makes it look bigger than it really is. Part of it is I did, the last few years over time, you know, with sick outs and stuff, it's been a little bit of a struggle, so I increased our projected overtime budget by about $275,000. Because each year they do, you know, as Chief said, you know, they're almost up at $9 million and we budget $7.5 million. Just like with PD, you know, we always under budget and the vacancies make up for it, but I was trying to help a little bit on satisfying the problem with overtime issues going over budget. Other than that, it's you know, probably about 100,000 of their, well, the lieutenants 100,000 that we left in, and then about 100,000 of their other non-personnel stuff. So that's what makes that 600,000 change.
Okay. And then my second question is, when you met with all my constituents about Remington Woods, and you said that there would have to be a detailed fire safety plan, because heaven forbid there ever be a fire on 400 acres of a forest.
Yes.
And you were gonna be meeting with them. I just thought about this, is that generating any revenue, because you have to help assist with creating fire hydrants, they have to have paths long enough for, are you getting, you get anything for that?
To be honest with you, I would have to speak to Fire Marshal Carr to see if that would be a revenue generating issue. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question.
Because that's gonna be comprehensive.
Oh, absolutely. I would assume that we're gonna get some revenue.
Okay.
I couldn't give you like a ballpark figure. I really couldn't.
Okay, I'll wait for my answer.
Okay, Michelle.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Pretty good about you.
Very good, thank you. I noticed, because I was listening to one of the meetings and they were talking about the fire ladders, how much those have increased.
Yes.
Like an excessive amount from what I
Correct.
hear. So how much come, it says engine 10, you need the 1,200,000,
Yes.
okay? How much more from the last, do you know, from the last fire engine to now have they increased? Because I heard it's astronomical.
Well, what do we have for right now? 12 or
Engine 12.
how much we spent
It was a $1 million, and we did
Right.
100,000 in equipment, I believe.
So the truck itself, we have one coming in.
Yeah.
We paid $1 million for it.
So it's
2
gone up
years ago.
like $200,000 in
2 years
2
ago.
years. That's what I was listening to. the
That's
meeting.
20%. That's a lot.
I know.
It's not sustainable.
No.
And for what you're doing and how you're handling the budget, I think it's amazing what
Yeah,
you've
it
been
makes it
doing.
very difficult to forecast
Yeah.
because we can't keep up with the inflation rate.
Now, you have engine 10 and you had the other engine 12, you just said, that was
That's
replaced?
coming in.
That's coming in?
Yes.
Is there any more that you foresee down the ladder, like maybe next year or whatever? Do you see that maybe enough? Because I don't know how far your equipment is ahead right now.
Well, we have ladder 10 that we requested, which is fiscal year 2031.
Okay.
We did this fiscal year, go into contract and pay for a new ladder 5. Ladder 5 is the busiest ladder
Yeah,
truck
that's
out of
what
fire
I'm just
headquarters.
talking about, that one.
Correct, yes, that is presently prepaid for, it is on order, 1,300-day build time. So the chief and I may be totally retired before that fire truck rolls into this city, but that was $2.7 million.
Yes.
That's insane, and
Yeah.
it's only going up. So that's 2.7. It's a very specialized 95-foot tower ladder, heavy duty, mid-mount ladder truck. So that's 2.7 now. This ladder 10 is a rear mount ladder truck, different, no bucket, just a ladder. So that's why I know we just said we spent 2.7. We're projecting 2.6. Probably as we get closer to 2031, myself, Chief Edwards, or our replacements may say, yeah, we may have to go up a couple hundred on that, depending on where it goes. There are Senate hearings presently going on at the federal level to find out what's going on with the increased build times and the major inflation and costs and delivery times on fire apparatus. So it is something that's not germane to the city of Bridgeport, the state of Connecticut. This is happening countrywide, and they are investigating it. Senator Blumenthal is on the committee. I saw him testify. So those do exist. It's being looked at, but yeah, it's astronomical. It's unsustainable. I don't know at what point we just got to throw the white flag up and say we're done. Like you got to. How do you do this? I don't know how.
Okay, yeah, thank you, because I heard that in the meeting, so I was just kind of
Yes.
curious how much it went. He didn't say how much it went up, but, that was either concern. Thank you.
All set?
All right.
All right, Beverly?
Yeah, our co-chair here made a statement, and I think it went over most of our head. He stated that we have to have a budget that cover a whole lot of people, To me, the fire department and the police department is the most important department in the city of Bridgeport. We can do without everything else, And then when I hear a lot of people say, we need both our kids and this and that and that. If we don't have any parents and any people, we ain't gonna have no kids. You know what I mean? So I've been teaching for 38 years now, so I'm not knocking education, but I am knocking safety, because when we get sick, we're not gonna call whoever, we don't call the police department, and then I can say the fire department's even there, but I got sick, the fire department was the first one there. you know, and it was so, and I just wanna say this, you know, and they said to me, how you doing? I said, I'm fine. And he looked at me and said, well, why are you down on that floor? I didn't hit the floor. But you know, it's important that we make sure that you all have what you need to keep us safe. And the last question that I wanna say is it in the budget, is this in the budget, co-chair, exactly how much the fire department is asking for? Are we gonna do it item by item that they want, like the person you wanna hire and some, I don't even know what else it looks like. I was too busy listening at whatever. But I see the vacancy here. Is that in your budget or what you?
They show us the vacancies. What you read, what Ken provided for us is the actual budget numbers that we're looking at.
Okay, all right.
Okay, outside of the cuts, we're going to talk to Ken on a few things that he can find. And, but most of the stuff that's here is what they asked for.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Maria?
Okay, I'm on page 216, and I really don't understand this. I've never seen this before. So if you go to 216 and you go across the bottom, right, it's gonna say the budget we're in right now for these executive, administrative, the senior level positions and the custodian stuff, there's 54 positions. Then you go to the 27, it says 53. And then, so that's -1, right? But then you go to the new column, it has 1 new position. I don't understand, and then there's an attrition line that I've never seen before that has like -2, but it doesn't have a title for the position. I don't understand what's going on here. I've never seen this.
No, I think that's,
Yeah, so through the chair, similar, if you recall, police 5 or 6 years ago, in some of the budgets, we have attrition lines because we know there'll be some vacancies during the year. Just no matter what, there'll always be some vacancies. And some of you complain the surplus is too high, blah, blah. So partly because of the difficulty of this budget, I did create a small attrition reserve because we know there will always be a few vacancies in the department. I mean, there'll be more than a few, no matter how many, positions they fill with the accounting. So it's not, their number of positions they can hire remains the same, +1. In other words, everybody they have now they can hire, plus a new lieutenant. But there's an assumption that we'll save during the year because of vacancies, a total of, $100,000 because of attrition. So it's an attrition reserve, just like we do with police.
But can I tell you, you're not getting a proper total here.
But
Because
we had the munis, it's a munis thing, it just comes out automatically. You have to say it's an equivalent of a position.
they're adding 1 and it looks like they're losing 1.
Because the -2 is not really losing 2 people, it's just the attrition.
Can't you
But
just
munis,
do
I'm told
It's
I'm a munis
confusing.
person,
Well,
unfortunately, the system doesn't let you put it in without saying it's equivalent to a position or 2.
Okay, so
But
I
it's
can
not
have
a
one
real
more,
position,
my
it's not a
one
real
more
type of
question.
positions.
This is very confusing to me, I just want to say.
But the police has had that for years, that type of attrition.
Go ahead and ask your question.
And then I want to go to page 219. With what we're seeing with gas and diesel, you're keeping diesel at the exact same budget as it was last year, the current year, right now. There's no increase, and you've only increased gas by $10,000. Do we feel that's realistic?
They're locked, Chief, maybe you can explain.
Yeah.
They're locked into a contract, I heard you
part of
say.
the
Yes.
So they
For
can't,
part of the year.
they can't break their contract if they're already locked in, like with your oil.
Yeah.
So through the chair, maybe where I can.
Finance and OPM lock those contracts, so the fire does not know what the.
So this is another Plato initiative, so I basically locked in the future amount for police, fire, public works, so that they can have the gasoline and the diesel at their tanks with a fixed rate that the, in this case, locally fuel locked into. They bought that contract to assure that rate. At some point in the future, if the war continues, yeah, prices will go back down and we'll have a problem. But for now, it's okay. I'm a little worried about after January.
Also halfway through this next budget, it could be a big
I
spike.
have to double check, I think.
Because they're
I have
locked
to
into
check
a
if it
rate
goes
right
that way.
now.
I have to,
He's
yeah.
saying that it expires in
I
January,
have to double
which is
check
6
that. I think
months into the 27
It's the end
budget.
of 26.
So that,
I'll double
I think
check.
that needs to be looked at.
Well, hopefully
But
they'll get
again,
another
prices
contract.
right now-
I'm hoping that they'll renew their contract and,
Let's hope the war
So-
doesn't continue 6 more months, but
So keep an eye on that, that's all.
Yep, you got it, no problem. Ivy, you wanna go?
I just need clarity on one thing, and the reason I'm asking is on radios.
Yes.
When, Chief Cody was talking about radios, you say you need an upgrade on radios because they're not talking to the systems?
Yes, with our mutual aid partners. So with our older radios, we could communicate, because we go to a lot to Fairfield and Stratford, and they also come in. So we need to upgrade our radios so that we can communicate with the mutual aid partners.
And is that on the is that on the capital?
I think I did see it
we
in
listed
the
in the capital plan, yes.
Sorry about
So it's actually
Oh, the
under
station
E-
alert
It's
system?
under EOC flyer.
Oh, it's EOC file, that's what I was looking for.
Because EOC is coordinating it with them.
Oh, okay.
all right, y'all.
Okay, that's why I was looking for it. So you clarified that. So the other thing I just want to say is, ask really quickly, is the SBA compressors,
Yes,
it's 146,000, you're saying?
yes,
What
yes.
page are we on?
On the, in the capital plan?
Yeah, what page?
Because he mentioned it in,
Right here.
page
Yeah.
2, page 2 of 4.
Okay.
On the capital plan, if you're looking at the capital plan, but on the chief's thing, it's the grant slide, right? What is the lifespan of a piece of equipment like that? Because I
Of the
mean,
compressor?
bonding for it at 146,000, you know, what's the end of life? The bond might be longer than the end of life of the equipment, that's all I'm asking. Do you know?
I'd say probably about 15 to 20 years.
15 to 20 years?
15 to 20 years, so it's better to just, I'm just saying, it's better just to put it out of the pull it out the general fund instead of bond for it, because we're paying interest on, it'd be like paying for a car for 30 years. I also, wanna ask, the other piece of equipment is $250,000, because netting that out would be $396,000, $400,000 for 2 pieces of equipment that, for the hydraulic tool
Yes.
rescue. And the lifespan on a piece of equipment like that, what, 10, 15 years, 30 years?
Probably less, I would say 10 years.
10
But,
years?
but also remember, Councilwoman, we also applied for funding through CDBG. So there was another.
No, I got that note in here, so, but
I'm sorry, okay.
The radios are in 27.
the radios are in 27.
They're in 28. The radios are in 28.
All right.
Okay, I just wanted to ask about it.
Yeah,
But
no.
I'm glad that you're gonna go through CDBG for these two.
We try.
We're trying to go through
Yeah.
CDBG. That was my suggestion.
Yep.
And then, can I ask one last question? Like, the equipment thing was a clarifying question, I didn't understand. My last question is on your retirement, your potential retirements. You have 44 staffers, employees at 25 years of service or more. But we only have one person retiring right now in May. So I'm just
Actually, I
asking,
believe we have one that's leaving April 30th, this is his last day
April
tomorrow.
30th?
Yes.
I have one for
Tomorrow's
May
his
1st, so
last day.
that's why.
Yeah,
So maybe that's the day for
Yeah, that is an individual.
yeah,
So we don't anticipate
No.
any other,
and I think that's
because that's a high
basically-
number.
Yeah, because of the drop plan. We also, a lot of those members, Chief Cody is one of them, is not eligible for the drop plan.
Okay.
So they have the years of service, but they don't have the age. And the ones that do check the box with the age and years of service, they're in the drop plan. So 5 years from now, there's gonna be a mass exodus.
And through the chair, I hope I'm wrong, but usually there are a few surprises in
Come on,
June.
Ken, you gotta go through the
Yeah.
chair though, Ken, you just can't
Sorry,
start
through the
talking,
chair.
please.
I'm just gonna say, that I know in PD, they're talking 6 to 8 more. I think usually there's some surprises in June, so they may get a couple of them.
So, okay, that's what I wanted to clarify, it's just because of the years of service.
Yep.
Age,
Yes.
not service.
What's both?
Okay. Y'all
That
set?
makes me feel better.
All right,
Y'all set?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go then, Ernie, and finish it out. Me, I just want my colleagues to understand something. I mean, because we ordered a truck down in Sportsman, and it took us 3.5 years. We're talking almost 3 million. They're not cheap.
No.
And we only got 4 manufacturers in the US, period. So people gotta understand that. If you don't do it ahead, you're gonna be waiting 3-4 years before you see the truck. So that's something that they should be actually thinking long term, instead of be behind them. It's not gonna change, as the equity firms, they keep buying them up and combining them. There's no stopping them, because there's no regulation. You wanna try it, they're gonna try it.
And I appreciate those comments too, because that is what we need to be to get awareness to everyone.
That was my fault.
We're at the mercy of one car
Check this to write
accident.
something.
One vehicle hits our fire truck, and now we're sidelined, and that's 3 years we're waiting. We do have some spare apparatus, but in time, they start to break down and wear down. So, yeah, we are almost at crisis, but there's nothing we can do right now. We can't make them build them faster. I'd love to make them build them cheaper.
All right, Chief, I want to thank you and your deputy for coming, and we heard you loud and clear.
Thank you.
We're going to make sure, to the best of our ability, that fire and police, because we need that.
Good. Thank you so much for allowing us to present our budget. We do appreciate it.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Can I get a second? Second. All in favor? All opposed? No. Everybody.
No, it's not.